Blanche Monnier, born on March 1st, 1849, in Poitiers, France, was a woman of beauty and social stature, deeply integrated into the local elite. As a young woman of the Victorian era, she was known for her vibrant energy and charm. Her family, one of high social standing, was respected by the community. In the midst of this comfortable existence, a love story began to unfold. Blanche, in the bloom of her youth, fell for a man who was a lawyer by profession. He was a man of modest means, not fitting into the aristocratic standards of Blanche's family. This romance caused a rift, as her mother vehemently disapproved of her daughter's choice. This disagreement was the spark that ignited a chain of events, setting the stage for a bleak and unimaginable future. Little did anyone know this disagreement would lead to a drastic decision. Beneath this genteel facade lay a harrowing future that would unfold. In 1876, when Blanche was 27, she vanished from public view. She was locked away in a tiny dark room in their own house by her mother. This was the beginning of a chilling tale, a descent into a cold and cruel darkness that few can fathom. Her mother, driven by societal norms and personal prejudices, became the jailer and their home, the prison. This room, the so-called dark room, was far from a comfortable living space. It was a tiny, claustrophobic space, devoid of sunlight, warmth, and any semblance of comfort. The windows were boarded up, leaving Blanche in perpetual darkness, a darkness that was both literal and metaphorical. The room was her world, a world that was as small and as bleak as the room itself. Blanche lived in this room for 25 long years. Imagine that for a moment. 25 years in a room where time stood still, where the only constant was the darkness that enveloped her. She was not just locked away from the world, but also from the simple pleasures that we often take for granted. The feel of the sun on the skin, the soft rustle of leaves in the wind, the sweet scent of blooming flowers, all were but distant memories replaced by the oppressive reality of her confinement. The conditions of the room were far from humane. It was not just dark, but filthy as well. The floor was littered with food scraps and waste, remnants of meals that were, ironically, served by her own family. The room was not just a prison, but a constant reminder of the life she was denied, a life that existed just beyond the locked door and boarded windows. And so Blanche lived, or rather existed, in this room amidst the filth and the darkness, isolated from the world, forgotten by those who should have loved her the most. Her only companions were the leftovers from her own family's meals, a cruel reminder of the life she once had, and a life she was unjustly denied. May 23, 1901 marked the turning point. Authorities, acting on an anonymous tip, discovered the now 52-year-old Blanche. Imagine the shock of the police as they entered the Monnier residence, a grand house in the heart of Poitiers, only to find a scene that was far from the genteel lifestyle the family portrayed. Behind a locked door, they found Blanche. Her once radiant beauty was now replaced by a gaunt, skeletal figure. She was malnourished, her body barely clinging to life, confined in a room filled with the stench of decay and filth. This was the horrifying reality that Blanche had been living in for a quarter of a century, hidden from the world by her own family. The discovery sent ripples throughout the nation. The news spread like wildfire, shocking the French society. The Monnier family, once respected and admired, now became the subject of scorn and disgust. The woman who was once the belle of Poitiers had become a victim of unimaginable cruelty. The law wasted no time. Blanche's mother was immediately arrested. However, within 15 days of this shocking revelation, she died, escaping the punishment her crimes deserved. But she wasn't the only one responsible for Blanche's plight. Blanche's brother, who had been living in the same house, was implicated as well. He faced charges of complicity in this cruel act. It was difficult for people to understand how a brother could allow such a fate to befall his own sister. But, as the investigation continued, it became clear that he was just as guilty as their mother. In the end, the discovery of Blanche Monnier was a chilling revelation of a family's dark secret. It was a stark reminder of the horrors that can occur behind closed doors, even in the most respected households. Her mother was arrested, but she died 15 days after Blanche's discovery. Blanche's brother was also implicated, facing charges of complicity. After her rescue, Blanche spent the remainder of her life in a psychiatric hospital, where she died in 1913. The rescue had come too late for Blanche. The horrific conditions she had endured for over 2 decades had taken a severe toll on her health. Despite the best efforts of doctors and nurses, her physical state was beyond full recovery. Her mental health, too, had suffered immensely. Blanche was plagued by severe anxiety and was unresponsive to her surroundings. The trauma of her captivity had marked her deeply, turning her once vibrant personality into a shell of what it once was. She spent her days in the hospital garden, often staring into the distance, lost in her own world. The staff tried their best to provide her with comfort and care, but the ghosts of her past were too overpowering. Despite the care she received later, the scars of her ordeal lingered both physically and mentally. Blanche Monnier's tragic story is a stark reminder of the cruelties that can occur behind closed doors. A life of beauty and promise shattered by the very people who should have cherished and protected her. It's a chilling tale that underscores the importance of vigilance and empathy in our society. Every community, every neighborhood, every home holds within it stories that may never meet the light of day. Stories like Blanche's remind us that our silence can perpetuate suffering. We must learn to look beyond the facades, to ask questions, and to extend our empathy to those around us. The echoes of Blanche's life resonate through time, offering us lessons in courage, resilience, and the human spirit's capacity to endure. Her story, though deeply tragic, can inspire us to foster a world where no one is left unheard, unseen, or unloved. Thank you for joining us on this journey through a dark chapter of history. If you found this story compelling, consider subscribing for more tales from the past. Until next time, take care and keep exploring the hidden stories around us.